Igor went on a business trip in a bad mood. He wasn't going anywhere and the plans were different, but the boss quickly changed them. Our branch in another city needs your participation and you will be there next weekend, the chief said sternly. In fact, Igor was going to have fun at a friend's birthday party on Saturday and sleep it off on Sunday, but now in the end he rushes to another city and listens to the sound of train wheels. For some reason, the passengers around were in a wonderful mood and it was unclear what they were happy about. This made it even worse in my soul. Your room is waiting for you, the receptionist told him after arriving at the hotel. Well, at least someone is waiting for me, Igor whispered dejectedly and trudged to get settled in the provided apartments. Since there was almost a whole Sunday left before working Monday, he went to wander around the city alone. He walked aimlessly through the streets in search of beautiful views and then went into a cozy cafe. There, at the next table, sat the same sad and unhappy girl as the hero felt at the moment. He just stared at her for a while and then decided to get acquainted.
My name is Nastia,
she said reluctantly.
I'm sorry, but I'm not in the mood. I don't have a special desire for communication either.
I hasten to tell you, I'm not very positive today either. So we are completely similar in this, he replied. I just don't even have anyone to talk to in this city, and now I wanted to talk to someone. Would you mind?
In principle, I won't because the company won't hurt me either,
the girl answered. They sat and talked about all sorts of little things, but did not discuss the topic of personal life and even forgot a little about negative experiences. I didn't want to leave anymore, and a further walk around the city in a pleasant atmosphere seemed like a wonderful continuation of the day. I'm staying in this city for 2 weeks, Igor said before parting. We can still go out for coffee together somehow.
Only I will have a condition,
Nastia suddenly said.
Let's not talk about our life outside of these meetings. No one needs extra information. In a couple of weeks you will go to your city and I will stay here. Let these dates become our little secret from the whole world.
Igor didn't really want to be friends all his life because he was just looking for a company to spend time together and nothing more. Casual acquaintances spent a lot of time together in the evenings, being released after work. Igor did not ask if the girl was expected at home, and she was not interested if he had someone to return to, since no one was going to violate the agreed rules and regulations. At this stage of their life, it was easier and easier for them together than separately, and this seemed to be quite an argument. After the end of the business trip, Igor was going home and did not know how to behave properly with the girl because he was afraid of the scene of a touching farewell.
I hope I helped you to brighten up your loneliness in this rainy city,
she asked somehow indifferently on the last date. I think we had a good time. He doubted whether it was worth breaking up right now or whether he needed to say something else. Will you remember me? Igor asked, even a little upset because of the girl's calmness.
Probably yes, and maybe not,
she answered, standing by the mirror.
We didn't fall in love with you, but we just had a good time, didn't we?
Then she ran away on her important business and Igor was left sitting alone in a hotel room and inhaling the aroma of tart perfume. He also needed to get ready for the road, but for some reason, after Nastia left, he desperately wanted to stay or catch up with her, just ask about life and plans for the future, but it seemed stupid and unnecessary to anyone. The next morning Igor tried to call the girl and say that they could correspond or spend time somehow, but her phone was disconnected. The man even thought for a moment that maybe Nastia turned it off so as not to make the farewell more tragic, then pushed this thought away. I'll be home tomorrow morning, he said, dialing his wife's number. We didn't have time to congratulate Vovka on his birthday before the trip. Here he and his wife are waiting for us for dinner tomorrow. What do you think?
A great idea,
the wife answered. On the road, Igor tried to sleep constantly so as not to think and not regret anything at all, but it didn't work out, so he returned home tired and angry. Natalia circled around him, tried to surprise him with her culinary skills, told him about the news during this time, about mutual acquaintances and the success of her daughter at school. Igor always liked her activity and vivacity, and now for some reason she was wildly annoying and caused a desire to escape somewhere in peace and quiet. Such impulses became more and more frequent despite attempts at self-deception.
You're kind of weird after coming back. Maybe you got sick?
Showed caring spouse.
I'll sign you up to Larissa for a checkup, then for a massage course. You're not resting at all.
Igor looked at his wife but did not hear and did not perceive the words spoken at all. Previously, such care and activity seemed cute and funny to him, now they irritated him. Lately, in principle, everything irritated and tired him. The boss, who noticed the strange behavior of the employee, even on his own initiative, sent him on vacation, considering himself guilty of the problems of the leading specialist. The man did not refuse the offer to rest and even thought for a second about going to that rainy city, but then he pushed this thought away and went to the village to his parents with his daughter.
I thought we were going to the sea together this year.
Natasha was upset. Maybe we will go. I have a lot of vacations, the husband replied. In fact, Igor wanted to work hard so that he could fall down from fatigue and immediately fall asleep without thinking about anything. But for some reason it did not work out that way, and after returning from a business trip, thoughts about the irregularity of the formation of life seemed to be constant companions. They interfered, angered, and caused increased anxiety from which nothing could get rid of. "What's going on with you?" the father asked on the 5th day of his son's visit. "Is there a problem with your wife or at work?" "Yes, everything seems to be fine. In fact, I don't know what's going on myself," Igor answered honestly, not wanting to tell his parents about his own worries and troubles. "So you're just having a midlife crisis," Mikhail Petrovich reasoned. "I've been through this myself, so I understand you perfectly. At such a time, it's important not to make irreparable mistakes. You know what I mean?" "Of course I understand everything. Don't worry. Everything will be fine," Igor said. "Now we will help you and then the vacation will end and my daughter and I will go back to the city and then I will enter the working channel and everything will fall into place." "Well, that's great," Mikhail said.
Did you find out from your son what was going on with him? I don't like him at all.
Irina Petrovna asked her husband in the evening. "It's okay. It happens to everyone," Mikhail replied. "He just had an emotional burnout and nothing more."
I'm so worried. At least everything was fine with them and Natasha. Otherwise we don't know when we'll see our granddaughter.
She was grieving. "It seems to me that everything is fine with them and all families are going through difficult periods. Don't you remember us when we were young?" Mikhail asked. Igor really worked a lot and played with Dasha, and after the end of the vacation he returned home and went to work. The boss did not ask anything. Colleagues thought that the depressed mood of an optimistic man was just fatigue, and he himself did not understand what was happening. Igor also took up sports and was looking for any reason not to be at home. The more he tried to escape, the more actively Natalia surrounded him with attention and care. The man was nervous and hesitated to give an answer to his question and preferred to think that this was a midlife crisis. "We need to send a specialist to a remote branch," said the boss. "This time we will not worry Igor and we will send other employees. I can go." Igor suddenly came to life after realizing which branch the boss was talking about. "I was there. I know the city, the little, and the employees, so there shouldn't be any problems." "Well, okay. It just seemed to me that you don't like business trips," the boss said doubtfully.
Well, we had plans to go to my parents for the anniversary next weekend and now you're going away again for a few weeks.
Natalia was sad. "It's okay. Then we'll go to them," he replied happily. "You know, work is very important to me." Natalia knew this, but she also suspected her husband of treason, but she did not dare to say anything to her spouse. She did not miss the changes in his behavior and mood, which were very strong after returning from a previous business trip. Only the woman did not dare to ask questions because she understood that she would not like his answers. She did not want to divorce her husband because Natasha loved him sincerely and strongly from the first meeting until now, and he most likely stayed because of his daughter. A new business trip could lead to negative consequences, and she understood this perfectly well, but she could not tie or force her husband to stay at home all the time.
Promise me that you will definitely come in 2 weeks even if something happens during this time.
She asked her husband at the threshold. "I promise," he said, lowering his eyes in a hurry. At that moment, Igor did not doubt the correctness of the decision made, but it took a little effort to turn it into reality. He wanted to find Nastia, say important words to her, and generally take her away with him or stay in this rainy city forever. Everything seemed extremely simple and understandable, but only at first glance because Igor only had a phone and old acquaintance and he stubbornly remained silent after the last meeting, which left him in a terrible mood. The ideal solution to the problem seemed to be a hike to the places where they met and drank coffee, but during a week of such trips, special results could not be achieved. Throughout the next week, Igor constantly wandered around the city, shopping malls, and crowded places in the hope of meeting Nastia. He did not understand why she changed the number or blocked it in the contact directory, because in fact everything was going well with them and they parted peacefully. A year has passed since the last meeting with a casual acquaintance, and Igor has not had peace and inner harmony all this time, but the business trip was coming to an end and he had to go home realizing the futility of the search.
How was the trip?
Natasha asked her husband, afraid to hear the answer. Everything is fine, I have completed the task, he replied in an even voice and then offered, maybe we should go to the sea for a week after all? Natasha and Dasha were glad of such an initiative. Igor was preparing for the trip and just tried not to think about anything else. It didn't always work out because Nastia became some kind of strange obsession for him and meeting her could be salvation or liberation. Nastia herself did not remember about a casual lover all this time because she had other worries. The woman raised little Nikita, who was born almost 3 months ago and completely unlike his official father. I think the baby has your eyes, Happy Oleg said, looking at his son. In general, it is not clear which of us he looks more like.
He looks like himself. Well, a little like us.
The woman was smiling, knowing the correct answer perfectly well. Then a year ago, she was sitting in a terrible mood in a city cafe because she had just returned from a research center. Oleg was on a business trip, so she went to pick up the test results herself. You and your husband cannot have children together because he has health problems, the specialist told her. I advise you to consider the option of obtaining custody or using another man as a donor of biological material. Nastia didn't know how to say it, Oleg the truth, and how to live with it further, and there were 10 days left before his return from the trip. She first got angry at an annoying stranger who got hooked in a cafe and then talked a little and decided on an adventurous act. No one knew about Nastia's idea, and she promised herself never to meet Igor after parting and achieving the goal. It was difficult because she loved her husband and understood perfectly well that Oleg would not deprive her of the joy of motherhood and would file for divorce himself. The appearance of a non-resident hero seemed to be an ideal solution to the situation, and for guaranteed security, she changed her phone number and deleted pages and social networks. After all, our son looks a little like my father, don't you think so? Oleg was running around the stroller.
Of course he looks like, but who else would he look like if not us?
A woman was smiling. She threw out the results of the research immediately when she was convinced of pregnancy. The family was saved by Nikita's birth and everything else turned out to be unimportant and insignificant. How do you like this story? Did Nastia do the right thing? Write your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Love you.